everyone. Glad you could join us tonight. We got some exciting guests. Now, these are actually pre-recorded, but it was a great event. And I had Dr. Paul Marik, and I'll mention a bit more about him in a few minutes, and Dr. Jennifer Hibberd. This was at the IMA. This is an Independent Medical Alliance. The whole thing is about honest medicine. So it's a spin-off out of the FLCCC, Frontline Care Alliance. And now because it is kind of passed a bit, but there's still such a strong interest in doing the right things in medical. So they formed the IMA, Independent Medical Alliance, and I was able to be at the event. It was a great event. So now what we're going to do is just go to our video, and then we'll get underway. Oh, and I'll just mention, sorry, before we go, for a moment here, Tamara Aspilis has won the Palm Ultimate. Congratulations, Tamara. I said we weren't certain on the March winner, but we now have confirmed that Tamara has won the Ultimate. That's a $1,300 device. So every time you come in to watch our webinar for the majority of the time, so you just can't show up for 2 minutes and expect the ballot to be in. But if you watch it for the majority of the time, unless we go over time. But you will be entered in as a ballot every time you watch. So if it's 4 weeks of Tuesdays, you'll have 4 ballots put in, and then we do a random draw for one of these Palm Ultimates. And that has the 660 nanometer wavelength, which penetrates really, really nice and deeply through the, you can see going right through my, I'm just blocking some of the light from my overhead lighting, but you can see how much that penetrates. And if I switched over to in this case, this is the Palm Ultimate, it has the near infrared. You can see it there, kind of looking purplish. But really, it's red. It's just the way the camera picks it up. But this wavelength of 810, if I put a power meter on this side of my hand, on my palm here, on the opposite side of the palm, I would get, if I had on this wavelength, I get a certain measurement. If I go to the other wavelength, I'll get 10 to 20 times more light energy through my palm because the wavelength is longer. And that's the same with the 1050. The 1050 wavelength is a bit longer yet, so it has the potential to penetrate a bit deeper. Plus, there's also this new learning that's come out in the last while about possibilities of structured water and what that means, or the 4th phase of water. Recently, there's a Dr. Pollock that a video went up on Ari Witten's platform. We intend on bringing that over as well, so people can learn a little bit more about this interesting dynamic called the 4th phase of water. So with all that, we're going to start our video right now. Here we go. PBM stands for Photobiomodulation. Photo being light, bio meaning biology, and light, well, light coming from some kind of source. In this case, PBM is used to help stimulate healing in the body, whether it's an LED, whether it's a laser, whether it's the sun, but that light comes through the skin layers, and actually the cells are able to absorb that light, converting it to energy, and then there's a host of different processes that are stimulated because of that light. So you can speed up healing, you can do different things that is very beneficial for the cells themselves, for healing, for reduction of inflammation, and a host of other things. Kerber USA is a company that we have set up to promote healing for the US and around the world. We would like to see this technology help a lot of people. We use LED technology where we can provide high amounts of light into the body, and that stimulates healing. I'd like to introduce you to the SunPowerLED Palm Ultimate. This device here has the most power of the series of devices. This light can produce a huge amount of light that can enter into the body and help speed up that healing. In this device, we have 2 different wavelengths. It's 660 nanometer, and as you can see, it's very bright, but it's very effective. You will cause a systemic effect with this wavelength of light. The other wavelength is 810. It's not very visible, but it penetrates very deep, and that can help as well reach the target that you're trying to reach. The main part about this light is that we have the power behind it and the large surface area that can reach very deep into the body. We believe that our product is the most powerful LED cluster under the sun. We have specification of this device of 150 milliwatts per square centimeter, and that is over this entire area of 40 square centimeters. It also provides a wall of light that comes through the skin and is able to reach depths that have never been able to be done before with other light products on the market. There's an interesting biblical passage in Malachi 4:2 that talks about the healing that comes from the rays of the sun. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide healing with these rays. PBM has also been shown in various studies to be able to help promote healing in wounds such as diabetic ulcers, venous ulcers, and other areas where cuts or burns or other types of wounds are on the skin level. If you have any questions about PBM and how our light device, the SunPowerLED Palm series, can help you, please reach out to us and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
All right, so I will just read the bio of our first guest that I was able to interview. His name is Dr. Paul Marik, and he wrote a book called Cancer Care and the Role of Repurposed Drugs and Metabolic Interventions in Treating. I was able to meet Dr. Marik after we were able to coordinate things when I was down in Virginia. I drove out to Norfolk, Virginia, and was able to meet with him at his home. And he showed me some of his PBM light, and then I turned on my light, and it was considerably more powerful. As a matter of fact, when I turned it on in his living room, it literally looked like a bomb went off as soon as I turned it on. Oh, hopefully I don't get taken off because I said that BOMB word. But as it turns out, the light just saturated the room immediately. That's using the canopy, this guy here. So that's the one wavelength, and that's the 810 nanometer wavelength you can see there. So I brought that in, and you wouldn't believe how well, when you turn it on, it just illuminated the whole room. And at that point, we had a very, very neat conversation for the next 2 hours. So Paul, Dr. Marik was one who really was at the forefront of the COVID and was doing things to keep people alive and get them out of the hospital alive. And he was reprimanded because he didn't follow some of the procedures that resulted in many other hospitals having a much higher death rate. He ended up helping people with what he had known to be things that could help improve lung function and other things. So Dr. Marik is a clinical scientist. He is a quadruple board certified in internal medicine, critical care medicine, neurocritical care, and nutritional science. In addition, Dr. Marik has advanced degrees in pharmacology and anesthesia. Dr. Marik has authored over 700 peer-reviewed publications, which have been cited over 53,000 times. Dr. Marik has always questioned conventional wisdom and has been called the status quo disruptor. Dr. Marik is the co-founder of the Frontline Care Alliance, and in this critical role, he has come to challenge the established narrative. This book is an extension of this process of an unbiased, objective, and truly scientific evaluation of alternative interventions for the management of. So with that, we will play the interview. Hi, Dr. Marik. Good to see you.
Yes, you
so
too.
what happened here? We had the IMA event. This is the first time. It used to be FLCC, and you've been involved in the FLCCC from the start, right?
Yeah, so me and Pierre Corey kind of started this in March of 2020.
I so much appreciated your strong stand in the medical, trying to help people. Can you tell me a little more about the hospital, anything about what happened there and why you started the FLCCC?
Yeah, so I mean, if you remember when came out, the NIH said that there's no treatment.
Right.
You stay home, you go blue, and then you go to hospital. And obviously, as a physician, that's the most absurd thing, because there's no disease you're not going to try and treat.
Yeah.
So that's why we put together first a protocol for the hospital treatment of patients.
Right.
And then we realized we really want to keep patients out of the hospital.
Okay.
So we developed a protocol for people to take it home so they could be treated early.
Right.
And not go to hospital.
Right.
And that's really how it started.
Yeah, but you didn't have a lot of choice. All of a sudden, you found yourself not being able to go back to the hospital, something like that?
So basically, I was trying to do what I was doing for my patients in the hospital.
Trying to get your patients out of
And
difficulty.
but it was going against the NIH protocol, the NIH narrative, and I refused to use remdesivir, and so I found myself without a job.
Oh, well, the best thing that happened to that was the FLCC, and now the new version IMA, which I think is more collective, right?
Yes.
Can you just describe the IMA for me?
Yes, so I mean, out of it came the FLCCC, so at least you're right, we have a mission. And in a way, you know, before I was treating one patient at a time.
Right.
With the FLCCC, we were touching hundreds, if not thousands,
Yes.
of patients. And you know, traveling around the country and the world, I realized how many people's lives we did affect.
Well, I remember in Canada, I don't know how many people I recommended to the FLCCC website. It was like a lot of people. So
Yeah.
you guys were standing strong.
Yeah, so obviously now the healthcare environment has changed with
Yeah.
the change in Washington. So I
And
think
RFK coming
Yeah.
in, that's going to be fantastic. I really hope, you know, I'm from Canada, but I
Yes.
really hope it trickles upward to Canada and, you know, some of those good things that are happening down here.
Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of uncertainty,
Yeah.
you know, where this is going to go.
So I got a chance to meet you a year ago, something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
I came to visit you.
Yes.
And I felt that you had some very great interest in PBM, photobiomodulation.
Yes.
As everybody calls it, red light therapy, cold level laser therapy, all these terms, but now finally PBM is the new term that everybody needs to know. It's the new scientific searchable term, photobiomodulation. But tell me about what you know about photobiomodulation, what you've been able to see.
Yes, I kind of heard about it earlier along in the course just because we were looking, you know, we were up against a strange enemy. I was looking for novel therapeutic interventions.
How dare you?
And so photobiomodulation made a lot of sense because, you know, I think a lot of diseases has to do with mitochondrial dysfunction.
And
much of the brain is a really complex organ.
Yes.
And you have many of the problems have to do with neuroinflammation. So the problem with
Alzheimer's.
COVID and brain fog and post-vaccine injury is neuroinflammation. It seems autism is brain inflammation, and then also you have, you know, brain atrophy and loss of brain fibers and loss of neuronal tissue. So what you want to do is maintain brain function.
Right.
And
At
obviously,
whatever state it is, but try and either maintain it or improve it.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter what state you want to. It's never too late to treat.
Right.
Obviously, you want to prevent. So you know, I feel my memory is going. So I'm at a stage that I want to do things to try and preserve my brain function.
You got to try my helmet out.
So I actually do, believe it or not, I do photobiomodulation every day.
Right.
You know,
And you got one of my devices, thank you.
Yeah, I sit in my little chair and I do my photobiomodulation, and you know, hopefully it's doing some good. I don't know.
Right.
The data shows that it is.
Yeah. I have one.
Makes sense. You know, it's not. There are a lot of things out there that are a bit shaky.
Oh, there's a lot of Fairy dust. How's that?
And so you want to be careful of snake oil medicine.
Yeah.
And so I think the photobiomodulation is supported by good science.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
the first thing obviously is first to no harm. So I think it's very safe.
Non-invasive and many
Yes.
other things. It's beautiful.
So I think people who have who have neurocognitive issues got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And therefore it's also very good for injury because it improves blood flow.
Yes.
Which is important.
And lymphatic drainage in the other parts of the body. And I'm learning now, Dr. Ryan Cole was talking to me about the lymphatic system.
Yeah.
And anytime you can improve blood flow, improve your lymphatic system, things are helping. But it's so exciting with this event here. I've been able to connect now with some of the people I've met before, like yourself. But also, we're looking at starting a study for inflammation, brain fog. Dr. Joe is going to, from the panel there, we're going to get a study for autism, and we're going to get another study for myocarditis.
Yeah. So I think those are good things to do. There'll always be skeptics who are going to criticize your study, whatever the study is. So they're difficult to do, but I think just the idea of doing a study, collecting data, looking at data is always a good thing. You can never lose from doing such a thing.
I want to thank you so much for taking a few minutes with me and telling the listening audience what's great and what's coming with the IMA. Well, that was a great time at that event, and to meet people like Dr. Paul Marik and Dr. Ryan Cole and Dr. Jennifer Hibberd, which she's from Canada, near the Toronto area. And I'll just read a little bit about her. Dr. Jennifer Hibberd is one of Canada's top dental surgeons, a co-founder of the Canadian COVID Care Alliance, and a champion for health and human rights. Alongside Dr. Richard Urso and Dr. Ryan Cole, Dr. Hibberd works tirelessly to inform people about C19 and the V shots. So now what we'll do is we'll get into the next interview that I did with Dr. Hibberd. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, nice to talk with you today.
Good to see you as well.
We're here at the Independent Medical Alliance Conference in Atlanta.
And why are we here?
Well, we're here to talk about independent medicine and to make a difference for everybody around the world. We're talking about how we can improve our medical system, how we can reinstitute trust and transparency for the work and care, and actually help everybody feel less afraid of what the future has to hold.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I'm so glad I got a chance to meet you. What is it now, 3 years ago, something like 3 years ago?
Yeah, we're both from the Toronto area.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to meet you and you bring in your science of your red light therapy. I introduced it to a lot of my doctor colleagues, and it is amazing technology, and I commend you for that.
Well, thank you. And today, over this weekend, again, I've been able to re-meet with Ryan Cole, Dr. Ryan Cole, and with Dr. Rob Malone and others that are using the light therapy on a daily basis. But the neat part is this event has been fantastic because we are now looking at, I got it set up, we're going to be looking at a study with autism because we've seen some fantastic results with autism.
That's great.
Already, just in a small number of people, but a small number of kids and some adults, young adults, and also for brain fog. I believe that's going to be really good. And the thing I'm hoping for is myocarditis, because as I was talking to Dr. Cole about reduction of inflammation in the heart, we can possibly help with myocarditis. Your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. And it's so important to do studies because that's what's demanded of us when we're bringing technology forward and trying to introduce it to the masses, because this is kind of technology that maybe's been buried for a long time and had to get reinvented. And it's essential. It's essential to have evidence, not just circumstantial. I've got friends and family who have used this device when they've had that elephant on the chest pain, and it really works. It really helps a lot. I'm not saying use that, instead of going to the hospital, but when you're having chest pain and issues, the brain fog, I run a practice. I'm a dental surgeon, and I have the helmet, and you'll explain what that is. And certainly there's videos and information on the website about the helmet and the handheld device.
Yeah, so the helmet is like 10 of these handheld devices, but it provides a high amount of near-infrared and near-infrared light into the brain, and that can help with inflammation reduction. And what we believe, I'm starting to learn, is that autism has there's a connection to inflammation in the brain. You talk about Parkinson's, there's a connection with inflammation in the brain. You go down the whole list of cognitive problems, concussions, strokes, depression,
addictions,
anxiety.
And I know you've introduced your technology to a number of doctors who have practices with a high number of patients with various conditions. Certainly in my office, I'm pediatric specialist. I have a lot of children with neurological issues on the spectrum. When we find something that we know is unique and we know that it's going to help, you just can't get enough information. And they're putting together protocols. It's not just one or a group of, it's as you learn more, you bring more into it. Now we know about our water even, and how to structure our water and make our water healthier to drink. It isn't just, out of the tap. It isn't just even when you put filters on it. It's you learn how to actually make your water powerful for your body.
And now this conference, what do you think of this conference?
I think it's been wonderful. It's been bringing a lot of us together, just like for yourself coming down here, not only meeting new people, but coming together with people that you know.
And being encouraged. I mean, this has been hugely encouraged.
Then to take care and make your own health choices. And what you've brought to the table and bringing technology like this for the doctors to assess, look at, want to study, do studies, show people that it works. This is important. People need to see this, and it'll be convincing, and it's been a wonderful conference. And I think moving forward, it can only get better together.
Well, Jennifer, I thank you so much for just taking a moment with us. There's a lot going on. Everybody's moving everywhere. There's all the webinars, but this has been fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Okay.
Well, that was a absolutely fun time to be at that event. And there was a lot of good things happening there at the IMA. And I'm not sure now, that was a month and a half ago. I've kind of lost track of time a little bit because I've done so many trips this last while. I was in San Diego for the Autism Conference, which I'll mention in a few minutes. Anyways, just one interesting thing there. You saw at the very beginning, I made reference to the biblical passage of Malachi 4:2. It's very interesting that in the rays of light, you see it's kind of hard to do this because it's reversed. This rainbow here, the red spectrum can be like red and near infrared is what we're using in photobiomodulation to provide very deep penetration, especially in the near infrared. So it's possible, even with our palm units, to reach down to sciatic hip pain right in the hip joint. So that's a lot of flesh that you got to go through to get to the hip joint and to be able to provide relief. So we've been able to see that, knees, shoulders, all those kinds of things. But Malachi 4:2 says the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in its rays. Now, there's a double meaning. I won't get into it on this show here, but the sun has healing in its rays, and that was written about 2,500 years ago with the prophet Malachi. Another interesting passage even goes back further. It's Isaiah 30:26, and I'll read that. It's kind of neat too. This was just more recently pointed out to me, and I never realized that. Although I've read it before, but it didn't really connect for me. And I think this sheds light. Sometimes there's a layer of meaning here, and then there's another layer a little deeper that you wouldn't know about until science catches up with it. And then all of a sudden, oh, that's what that means. Anyways, it says in this passage, it says, moreover, the light of the moon will be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun will be sevenfold as the light of 7 days in the day the Lord binds up the brokenness of his people and heals the wounds inflicted by his blows. So there's this passage talks about light being 7 times brighter. Now, if we were under the sun at 7 times the intensity, we wouldn't be around. We would burn up. Be far worse than a desert even. The heat of the sun would literally burn us up. But it says, like in this passage, it says like 7 days of sun. Well, it turns out that if you use the red and near infrared band here in that bandwidth, if you did it 7 times more, so you take that little bit of sun there, that spectrum of the sun, and have it 7 times more than the whole spectrum of the sun in power, you would not burn somebody. You would actually heal them. You would help reduce pain. You'd reduce inflammation. So of this area of the spectrum of the sun, I'm basically 7 times more or a little greater than that than what the sun has to offer. So that's what we have coming out of our devices. And I just ran across that, and it's interesting because there's no way we could take 7 times the sun, but we can take 7 times the near infrared band. And if we did, it would be tremendous on our bodies. And that's what we've been able to do. So if it talks about if we talk about this helmet, it has the red wavelength in there right now. That's 660 nanometer. And it has the 810 nanometer that you see the little dots inside the unit itself. So this just goes down on top of the head like this. It's not perfectly set up right now for me, but that's what happens. And the red wavelength is penetrating really deep, and the near infrared is going much deeper. So the red just goes basically through the skull. And some have asked me to show it again, so I'll show it again. Here's a real skull. Okay, thankful to this fellow that gave up his life for science. But if I show this here, I'll take the light here and I'll just shine it on the inside here. And what you can see, I'll just turn off my overhead light here just for a sec, and you can see the light just going right through the skull. Now it's not even because the skull itself is quite, but if I move the light around, you can see it going right through. So the red light wavelength can go right through, and the near infrared can go 10 to 20 times more through the skull. So it can go much, much deeper into the brain. So why is that important? Well, it turns out that red and near infrared light can not only give energy to the cells, the mitochondria can absorb that, just like the light coming into the leaves of a tree. It can go into the cell, into the mitochondria, and give energy to that mitochondria. And as Dr. Paul Marik had mentioned, there's almost all the diseases are related to mitochondrial dysfunction. So that means the mitochondria is just not, it's running on fumes. It's got very little energy in it. And here you come along with the light and you're able to give the cells the energy they need. And when they do, they have been designed well so that they can fix things. I mean, who in the audience has cut their finger and then watched their finger heal, and say, well, you got to attach that to that and that'll fix your finger. No, I mean, it's all automatically to beautifully lay the different layers together and heal that cut. I don't know how many times I've cut my fingers on doing different things, but it's so beautiful that our bodies have that built-in mechanism to heal. And whether it's healing of the skin or flesh, or whether it's healing of different other parts of the body, but for a long time, they've said that you can't heal nerves. Like you can't have nerves reattach. Well, one of the projects, one of the companies that we're going to be setting up is specifically involves a neurologist, a neurosurgeon, who has been able to regrow spinal cord nerves on people. And this has been in small quantity, like small study. But if he regrows it with the things that he's been able to figure out to help these nerves grow back together, they have about a 20% function. If you provide light to it, now they used laser, and it took them 5.5 hours, 6 hours to do the laser over the area. But if they used our light, we can look at a half an hour. So we're setting up a company where specifically the funding will come in for spinal cord healing, to heal the nerves back together again. And so instead of having people paralyzed, we would be able to see people walking again, people that lose the functionality of their arm, and being able to have their arm moving again and working properly. So all these things would be possible, but we would need the proper amount of funding to make that happen. So that's one area. But I'll come back to the brain right now, and that is that the other thing that was discussed, as you heard, is that a lot of the diseases in the brain have to do with neuroinflammation. There's inflammation inside your brain. So when it came to people ended up with brain fog. They could hardly think properly. And people that have long have brain fog. Well, what light technology can do is it can reduce the inflammation in the brain. And so there's people that have had benefit from a significant benefit, getting their brains back working again by using light technology. And we have with the helmet that we have. There's also hope for autism. Not that we're going to heal. We're not talking about healing, but we're talking about helping those. If we were able to reduce the inflammation, we would be able to help that person to, in the process, to improve their brain function. When it comes to autism, when it comes to Parkinson's, there is brain inflammation. When it comes to long COVID, I said, brain fog. When it comes to all these different things in the brain, concussions, strokes, dementia, they all have a component that involves inflammation. And well, we have the helmet is our inflammation buster. So off of an old movie line, who are you going to call? The inflammation busters. So that's what we have with our technology. Now I want to come back to and another area is myocarditis. Turns out that people ended up, especially young folks, with the C shot, with the V shot, they ended up having problems with myocarditis. Although myocarditis existed before, all of a sudden during this event that we had the last few years, we had there was a significant increase in kids with myocarditis. Young men were particularly prone to this problem. Now, I have been trying to dance around some words here. I don't know if you figured that out, but unfortunately, the video that we put up last week on YouTube was taken down because I said the bad word, this bad C word, in part of the conversation. So I probably destroyed it. Probably this one is going to fail as well. We've reposted it finally with removing the bad C word because I said that there's a possibility, not just a possibility, there's research out there that shows that light can photoactivate a drug and get rid of C. So I've been dancing around the words here, so put up with me, please, because we'd like to try and have this YouTube stay up. But myocarditis, the thing about myocarditis is that there is inflammation in the heart. And again, we have the technology that can help reduce inflammation, and we could probably even help people with this disease of myocarditis. Now, there's a lot of censorship that goes on So I have no idea whether this video is going to be able to stay up, but on YouTube. But anyways, what I'd like to show you is I was at this latest autism conference, and for sure, no, I went around to the different booths. I had a booth there for SunPowerLED. And I went around to all the different booth vendors. Now, if you're another booth vendor, unless you're direct competition, people will tell you things that probably they wouldn't say to other people that walk in the door, about certain successes or whatever. But I can tell you this: none of the vendors. I went around to all the booths, and not one of the booths that or people that I talked to talked about healing to do with autism or curing. Neither one of those things. And so anyways, I was at this webinar, and I'm going to play it, and I'm going to interrupt it a few times because I think it's important that people understand real what is out there as far as reporting. And unfortunately, this lady had an axe to grind or something. I'm not sure, but she put out this article or this post on the web. So here we go with this. It was done by NBC.
Do you want your videos still up?
Yes, you're going to, please. Yes.
I just went to the Autism Health Summit in San Diego, where people couldn't stop talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and these comments he had made before it.
By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic, and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures.
Finding the cause of autism has preoccupied researchers for over 80 years. So Kennedy's timeline seems a bit of a stretch, even his allies say so.
It's too short of a time to actually do any research study. It is only going to be a review of what's out there.
But I found a lot of people at this summit already believe they know the cause, vaccines. This conference didn't offer press passes, so I bought a regular ticket. I wasn't undercover. I used my real name.
Yeah, so she said she used her real name. I didn't know this woman, neither did anybody else, but you'll see that she doesn't actually interview anybody in this event. She just takes little clips here and there and makes it sound the way it is. And now I can see the event. You can see the date of the event, 11th through 13th of April. But she said she passed out her cards. Well, I talked to other people at the booths, and they didn't see her. So I don't know how she was so out there and giving all these people, telling everybody that she was with NBC. That didn't happen. So, but anyways, she didn't have a press pass or even a thing saying on her shirt that she's press or, a badge or anything, just her name. So how are you supposed to know? But regardless, like I say, nobody in the show said anything about healing or curing. Go ahead.
Wore my badge, and I handed out business cards to everyone I spoke to. The summit says their purpose here is connecting parents of autistic children. What I saw was alternative health practitioners and influencers selling ways to heal or even cure.
So you just saw a clip there of my booth. You want to back it up one look? There you go, SunPowerLED. We even the tag at that moment, she said what you can read on the screen, and there was no way any of my guys who were there at the booth said anything like that. There's a possibility of us helping some kids with autism, but as far as doing that, no way. But it was also interesting. I have no idea how they got this shot because there's nobody standing around the booth, and almost the whole show, we had a lot of people around us looking at things, asking us questions, and we had 3 helmets on the go on a constant basis. And I think the only time is one time I think we escaped during one of the things. I think it was during one of the talks. Maybe it was RFK that said something. But anyways, we're going to continue on here.
or even cure autism, something that just can't be done. But the highlight for attendees was a video message from Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I am your Secretary for Health and Human Services.
Kennedy used to headline conferences like this as recently as 2019 when he was a full-time anti-vaccine activist. And in this video, he thanked attendees, telling them that, quote, your issue is no longer on the fringe.
It is dead center and mission critical for the new HHS.
Here's the thing. Public health experts say that that's not how science works. Autism has been studied for decades, and we know that
So at this point, they pull out the genetics card. That's all because of genetics. Well, if it was all because of genetics, then how is it possible that we went from 1 in 10,000 kids to like 1 in 30 in like a couple decades? What did the genetics pool get that bad that quickly? And then even when it comes to the point of how is it possible, if it was genetics, how is it possible that triplets that were born, obviously they're born at the same time. That goes without saying if they're triplets. And after they got the shot, all 3 of them immediately turned off and zoned out and screaming and lost all facial expressions and everything you would see from a kid. So how is it possible that genetics all of a sudden flips the switch all within hours of each other? That's not true. So anyways, but then they get a specialist somewhere that says genetics is what it is. So that's typical what pieces like this. And you know, she said she talked to so many people and handed out her card. Well, where's all these interviews? She didn't include one of them. Okay, continue.
genetics plays a major role.
The one factor that's been consistently and reliably identified for now decades is genetics.
Likely with some environmental factors and developmental factors. What we don't have is a single simple source, which is true for many medical conditions. And
So she talks about a single source. That's always the case. But even if it's not a single source, why wouldn't you want to examine what might be the causes that might be mixed together? Maybe they have this and that and their food is bad, and then on top of that they have a shot or something and it affects them. Well, why not look into that combination? But no, you can't do that because that's against the V law kind of thing. Anyways, we'll continue on. But I don't, I really hope that I've reached out and I hope I can connect with her, and maybe there will be a new, more positive article someday about what could be done for autism. But here we go. Continue.
diseases. We have overwhelming science that says vaccines are not it. But at the summit, that theory was still very much alive. Vendors there offered products that promised healing if you could afford it. Water filters, detox kits, red light.
Well, what do you know? We got into this NBC article with our helmet. Look familiar? So I guess we got into the red light machines that claim that they totally change a person's life. Well, yes, we have been able to help people for sure. Anyways, the other thing you'll see, and I won't stop it on the next one, is she does a note that somebody gave her. And her whole theme here is that, these people are blatantly stupid that come to these, these type of events, and they're all brainwashed and they don't have any brains to work with. But here this one woman gave her a note, and she doesn't read the whole, even though it's really, really short. She doesn't read the middle section. And the middle section, you'll see, it actually says that there's probably many different things that contribute to autism, but because it doesn't fit the narrative, let's just blank it out. Let's just go on the thing. So let's continue on.
Machines, supplements, blood oil changes, even stem cell therapy is only available overseas. One woman told me that she sold her house to pay for treatments. Another had flown to Europe for experimental procedures. But people here weren't just searching for answers because they believed that they had them already, and that doctors and the media and the government were all hiding the truth.
They're not hiding the information from each other. They're hiding it from you.
The headline speaker was the communications director for Kennedy's failed presidential campaign and the executive producer before that of a documentary that laid out a conspiracy theory, one that falsely alleged that CDC had hidden the link between vaccines and autism. That's a link that's been debunked in numerous studies. At one point, a woman handed me a note that read, "I don't claim to have all the answers, but what if there's even a small chance that they're right?"
Notice that the missing part in between that actually said there's many things. And it could be many things that contribute to this. Okay, continue on. Oh, that's the end of it. Okay. So anyways, that I wanted to set the record straight that we didn't say that we were going to heal somebody of this illness or that anyways, or that we were going to cure anybody. But when somebody puts a paintbrush and says all these people, all the vendors were snake oil salesmen, and obviously these people that are coming out are really just brainwashed. And you know, I saw the comment of the person selling their house. Well, who knows how much they had left in their mortgage, but regardless of that, hey, what would it be? What would one be willing to trade to have good health? I can't imagine being in some of these situations either crippled up or whatever, and there is something that can help them. I mean, I'd do that for my wife if that would be something that I could do. So yeah, anyways, so I just want to share just a little bit. The question has come up a few times again about our light, as far as when we have a device like this, the difference is our LEDs are real. I'll put it on this. There we go. They're really, really closely spaced, as you can see here. Other panel devices out there are really spaced out, the LEDs. So if you put our lights against, I'll just do this here. I'll take my light, the palm lights. You have a considerable amount of power. And if I put that on there, you see how even the light is. We call that wall of light. It's a trademark because it's a light that just keeps going very, very evenly away from the LEDs. And that's because we got such a tight cluster of them. And we allow the LEDs to overlap. Unlike with a device like this one, which if we put it on there, it's only got spots of light where the energy actually is. And usually what they'll do is they'll do a measurement right on that brightest spot. And they'll say, see what kind of energy we have? It's the same as what these other guys have. Well, it turns out these other guys, us, we have, if I took that meter and I moved it along the same pattern from here to the other side here, down to here, everywhere is the same amount of light energy. And that's really key. You don't want a few different spots of light to try and get into your shoulder to get rid of pain. You want a very nice, even amount of light going very, very deep. Okay. Now I think what we'll do is we'll get into the question and answers. So let's go here. Okay, yeah. Janelle mentions podcast producer here. Your YouTube was absolutely brutal with the censorship during the illness that started in 2020, and they're still that way. You have to substitute the real censored words with the ones in order to keep your post alive and up. Yes, it is very frustrating because I like to say what I'm really hearing. So anyways, Jodine asking this question again. Tom, have you got plans for making a heating pad like red light that you can wrap the area with? As a matter of fact, at some point, I am working with another special company that has come up with a very special LED that would allow us to have a more decent amount of power than most LED wraps could have. And I think that's going to work very, very well. Okay, Paula mentions that woman speaker was one who was brainwashed and probably paid by pharmaceutical companies. She didn't deserve any airtime. Well, I just wanted to, today I just wanted to set the record straight so that if I was ever asked by the FDA, as far as, had I said something about healing or curing, I could say, no, I did not. And I've said this before. So something keeps moving here. Okay, so, okay, Mary, is the 1050 model suitable for deep applications like Alzheimer's and superficial ones like, yeah, you can use the Super Palm across all of them. And one correction I have to make was that earlier video that I did, that I played right up front, was actually one that we didn't have the Super Palm at that time. So the Ultimate was the most powerful device that we have. Now, the Super Palm is actually very, very similar in power. It's just that it has the 1050 nanometer wavelength instead of the 810. So in reality, the Ultimate and the Super really have the same power. It's just the wavelength that, okay. So thank you for your comment there. Okay. And what is the fastest shipping option? Okay, if you get your order in, we try and get it out as quickly as possible, Mary. So just order online, and if you want to put into the space about there's a really important timeline. If you want to put it into the special not discussion. Anyways, there's a little spot on the website where you can put special instructions. There we go. Special instructions. Okay, Brian is saying, please don't. Okay, keeps it moving. It's pretty hard to read the screen when the screen is moving up and down. So I'm just having a little challenge here. We're good. We're good. Okay. Brian is saying a significant amount of pharmaceutical drugs prescribed are petroleum-based. If that doesn't inherently sound twisted, please sound twisted, then alternative theories like yours will be fiercely called pseudoscience by petroleum-based drugs. Keep up the great work, Tom. Thank you very much, Brian. So as a matter of fact, they figure NBC right now has about 80% of their advertising is done for drug companies. So do you think they would want to put out a fair article on alternatives to drugs? I don't think so. So anyways, I might be coming out a little strong here, but yeah. So D. Marie says, I have found increasing time also increases the amount of positive change. When I stick to 1 minute and 3 minute on my 810 Palm, I seem to reach a certain point and need to increase. Your thoughts? Yes, no problem increasing the dosage, but start use light dosage. But there's no problems starting with lower amounts. Okay. Mary is asking, can a generic adapter be used in Europe? As a matter of fact, this is a generic adapter. No, sorry. This is it does do all the different voltages. So it does do right up to 240 volts. So there's no problem. But what you do is you just put a generic adapter. That's what you're talking about, which is just plugs onto the front of this to change the 2 pins. And by the way, there's no problem bringing that on the plane with yourself. And as I've actually seen, we started the 5 Mile High Club, and that is to actually use the Palm Light in the cabin of the flight, because there are no there are no lithium batteries in our device, so it's extremely safe to use. And as a matter of fact, some of the stewardesses have used my light for aches and pains on certain flights. So no problem on the plane, and no problem when it comes to using the devices in different voltages, different frequencies. Some countries are 60 hertz, some come 50 hertz, doesn't matter. Joe is asking, do you think light therapy would help reduce Baker's cyst? Yes, please go back. I've been able to see a number of people helped with Baker's cyst, and it's a case of treating the back. of the knee area, and you can help that situation, no doubt. Yeah, there's been some real good success stories with that. And as a matter of fact, if you go back on some of my videos, you'll actually see you'll see the a video there on Baker's cysts. Okay, Mary, if you want to get in touch with me, we can discuss that issue. Please contact info@sunpowerled.com. So if you go over here, info@sunpowerled.com. If you want to send me an email, that would be wonderful. And I think we can definitely do something there, Mary. Okay, John is asking, can diabetic neuropathy be reversed and rejuvenated, restored? Any success stories in feet? Yes, John, we have been able to see some people with some, thank you. We've been able to see some people save their legs from amputation with severe diabetic, not only neuropathy, but ulcers and things like that. But neuropathy, yes, we've been able to see improvements in restoring nerve function, helping to get there. So, but it's not going to be an overnight success. It's going to take quite some time, and there is possibilities to try and help that. So I have a question here from Judy. Do you have any experience with people having success with treating gum disease? As a matter of fact, yes, we've had some people just using the light like this through their cheek and actually improving their gums. And again, it takes time, but we've actually seen somebody told me how the deep pocket, you know, how you get pockets around your teeth, they've actually improved their gum line by using this. So it's possible to do that. Catherine has asked, okay, so Laura, sorry. So, and one more thing on that mention about oral. So we've been able to also work with oral mucositis. If anybody wants to check that out, I can give you some information on that as well. So yeah, and as well, Lichten planetitis. I can't get the name. Can't remember it for plant. Anyways, it's when you have really mess inside your mouth because of a certain condition. Yeah, anyways, we've had somebody who dealt with it for 3 years and going once a month to specialists to try and get that fixed. Nothing was working for 3 years. 1 week with our palm light, and it totally cleaned up her whole mouth. She was so happy. Anyways, Laura is saying, as the saying goes, all publicity is good publicity. Well, as a matter of fact, on that article, I think they're up to some past 15,000 views. So yeah, thank you, NBC, because about 15,000 more people saw something about SunPowerLED up here. So thank you, NBC. Okay, Catherine's asking, which device would you suggest for skin tightening? Any one of the three, if you're just talking skin issues, no problem. Marilyn is asking, when using a palm for vision loss, do you place it directly over the eyelids or above? Okay, so yes, the eyelids absolutely have to be closed. So closed eyelids. And basically, when you're on the beach in Florida, you don't have warning signs that say don't sunbathe or you go blind. The reason why is because your eyelids are really important. They diffuse the light in all directions and reduce it a bit. So with that, you can do, with the eyelids closed, 1 minute of the red and 1 minute of the near infrared on each eye. For all kinds of different conditions, we've been able to see some eye wellness return. Okay. Okay. David, I can't explain this fourth phase of water. Just that apparently the Super Palm with the 1050 nanometer has the potential to help in that side of things. Okay, Wesley is asking, thank you, by the way, everyone, for your questions. And before I forget, I wanted to mention that I mentioned about funding. If anybody out there feels really, really compelled to help us with a study, it does cost quite a bit of money, but there will be new areas that we're working on that will need funding. One of them, and this will be in separate ways so that you know, when you set your funds to this, that's what it's going for. But autism is one area that we're going to need additional funding to do real research on. Parkinson's is another one. And there will be some long dealing with long brain fog. We're looking at a study in that area. Myocarditis is another area. There was a mention on Dr. Peter McCullough on the thing. I was able to speak with him about myocarditis with Dr. Ryan Cole. So we believe we can get something going for there. As a matter of fact, if you have any special interest in the C word, there's new stuff that's happening on that front as well. That's really, really exciting. So that's also possible. And so I said myocarditis is C, and the other thing is the brain, the nerve regeneration. So if any one of those particular items are something that you'd really like to stand behind, please contact me because it's going to be some pretty neat things that are going to go forward. But as mentioned by Dr. Jennifer Hibberd and also by Dr. Paul Marik, is that we really need the funds to do a study, and we'll get these studies done in places where we can make this happen. Now, we are running over in time, and I'll say anybody who wants to still stick around, I'm going to still answer. Wow, we got a lot of questions that have come through. So, okay. Okay, Mary is saying, by studying your portal, it would be good if you could compare the different devices and parts of application on the body. Yes, we would like to do some of that, but there's also some challenges when it comes to how we can list things because of FDA requirements. So, Paul is asking about glaucoma. We've been able to see 2 people that have tried it on their own, and they've reported back to us that they've had their pressure reduce. Do check with your ophthalmologist, but probably most of them are totally unaware that the FDA did approve a device for ophthalmologists for treating different eye issues. Okay, Paula is asking about my devices are expensive. That is correct. We do make these in North America, and I have a staff of people. We're doing all this new stuff to advance the products to help in these different areas. So anyways, it is more expensive. And it's also far more expensive to make a good quality product, especially if you're going to build it in North America. So if you build in China, you can build a lot cheaper, but well, you get what you pay for a lot of times. So if you're just looking at treating some skin issues, you could probably go for some of the other devices. But if you're really trying to do something well and on the other parts of the body and deeper areas, you need something with enough power that you can feel, and it is going into the body, not just tickling the surface. Okay. What is the difference in wavelengths? Wavelengths help to the different 660 nanometer wavelength is something that the blood absorbs highly. So it doesn't penetrate as deep, but it's also very beneficial to the blood because the blood takes it further than that when it's talking systemically. And then when you get into the red and near the 810 nanometer and 1050, that's the near infrared band that does penetrate deeper, and there's other mechanisms that are involved in that. So James I think is asking about, I'm going to guess tinnitus, but I'm not sure if there was a spelling thing here or not, but we've been able to see people helped with tinnitus as well. Okay, Dee Marie is saying, oh yes, and my tooth that needed to be pulled no longer hurts and I can eat on that side. The one pulled caused problems on the other side because they did not take out the ligament underneath that tooth. It is also improved as well. Yeah, we've been able to see a lot of people with different teeth issues, dental issues that have been able to be helped. And there's a question about to do with gastrointestinal issues. There again, it's amazing what light therapy can do, but you need to have enough of it to penetrate. For different types of arthritis, yes, you can reduce the inflammation, and when you do reduce the inflammation, it's a whole lot better to get around because you don't have that pain. So thank you for the question there. And Maxine, that was the answer for Maxine. Mary, so yeah, there's generally, Mary, there's it can be very, very helpful. Yeah, so Maurice asking about yes, you can treat water before drinking it. Yes, there's things that you can do to water to improve upon it. Okay, so I'm not sure, Mary, on the DMSO. I'm familiar with it, and I do know that there is possibility that can be very, very helpful. Okay, so I want to thank everybody for attending tonight, and please remember to go to our here we go again. It is flipped in the screen, so when you think you got one finger, it's the other side. So my apologies. I'm not that uncoordinated, but when things are flipped, it does make it a little more difficult. But please go to right here, SunPowerLED. You can also go to our YouTube and look up the search for SunPowerLED, and please subscribe and like. So James, thank you for your comments. Yeah, I just want to wish everybody God's richest blessings on their week coming up, and please remember to tell your friends to come join us on this webinar. So thanks again to everyone. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.